Hello, art lovers, and welcome to a kind of special figure study where we appreciate the form in Transformers, of course. I call it special because I'm going to be taking a look at a figure that is kind of a big deal. Victory sip. But no, this is, for anyone who can't immediately recognize it, this is Hunt for the Decepticons Leader Class Starscream. Now, a couple weeks ago, I did a couple of videos on some Human Alliance figures and said that they were essentially like masterpiece figures for the movie, for the movies. For the most part, I still think that's true, but the Leader Class Hunt for the Decepticons figures, like Starscream, Optimus Prime, Ironhide, like they kind of embody that even better. So it's also special because, as you notice, the setup is a little different because this guy is so freaking big, I can't use my regular setup. In fact, this setup may not even work properly, but we're going to see what we can do. Anyway, looking at Starscream's vehicle mode, he is a I don't know planes, but he's I think a Raptor is what he's supposed to be. But he's a very nice looking jet. I appreciate the fine details of these tattoos. You know, I think that there's a lot of nice detail to these tattoos, and there's a lot of just really nice sharp paint on there, which is great. But I think they look kind of dumb. It makes, I don't know, it kind of makes Starscream look like some Jersey Shore guy with tribal tattoos. I'm just not digging it. But, you know, just from a technical standpoint, they look really nice. Just technically. Aesthetically, I'm not sold. I honestly think he would have looked better without all this junk, all these Cybertronian zebra stripes. But, you know, it is what it is. Now, the actual molded details, it's interesting because there's actually a lot of little details, like panel lines and things of that nature, throughout this this form, but you can't really see them because they're covered by these things. Seriously, like, there's so many of these tattoos, I feel like Starscream should change his name to Blake. No offense to any Blakes that might be watching this. But, you know, it's like the whitest name ever. But yeah, I don't know, there are a lot of little details, but they're just kind of hard to make out. I do really like, though, how we've got this cockpit that's colored in a kind of an orangish, almost honey shade. And it really kind of stands out, which I think is nice. There's also some pretty decent details in there, like you can actually see a seat and a console. Not that you can actually put a person in there, but it's nice that those details are there. It's pretty cool. And I do like how this cockpit color just really pops when you look at it from the, when you take it all in, it really stands out. The rest of the jet is kind of, I don't know, it's okay. I mean, from the front, you get some nice little details here with the intakes, which are also that similar honey-colored plastic, although they're much more recessed and harder to see. It's also, they seem, I mean, I don't know if this is accurate to the jet or not, but they're kind of tucked up in there, and that's kind of annoying to me. Like, it seems like they're off-center. They might actually be off-center, I don't know. No, looking in there, it looks like that's actually how they're supposed to be. So yeah, I think it's unfortunate that they're a little off-center, but The rest of him is kind of just robot junk hanging off the bottom. I mean, it's not terrible, and for the most part, you know, it doesn't necessarily scream robot junk, but it's a bit chunky. Definitely better than some of the other Starscreams I've seen from the movie. But yeah, it's kind of eh. I mean, you know, you're supposed to look at him from this angle anyway, but I'm not a big fan of the tattoos, as I said, so what are you going to do? I'll tell you what you're going to do. You're going to transform him. Okay, it took some doing, but managed to get everything kind of set up so you can pretty much see all of Starscream. He is kind of magnificent, honestly. And I don't use that word lightly. I think I've said this in the past that I'm not a huge fan of the movie aesthetic for the characters in the movies, but I think for the toys they actually end up looking really, really nice. And this is an incredible example of that. I mean, just like, you don't see as many of those obnoxious tattoos for one thing. But like the gray has been nicely broken up with some of these little like coppery colored highlights and some of the black there and some sort of a gunmetal silver. His overall detailing is incredible. There's all this detail that used to be the underside of the jet that now makes up his robot chest. There's, of course, a fantastic looking head that does actually, if you pull this, his chest will open, mouth will open, and he actually does do lights and sounds, but I don't have batteries in him because I don't care about lights and sounds and actually think they're kind of annoying. But, I have a cat twining at my legs right now, and she's already leaving stuff on me. Yeah, he's incredible. I mean, just looking at all of these little details in here, just so much little molded stuff, and I mean, just like the legs, you've got these little pistons on the inside, which they don't really move when you tilt the leg, but they do stay in place, which makes it look a little bit robotic and mechanical. He's got these funky kind of two-thumbed hands. Now, I will say these panels on his arms look pretty nice because they don't necessarily look like ridiculous Orange County tribal tattoos. But, yeah, he's really, really fantastic. And he does have the chicken legs, which can be straightened out, so you don't necessarily have to use them like that. But I actually kind of like the chicken leg look, honestly. I think it kind of sets them apart. Now, mine is a little bit fiddly because I, had to get mine off of eBay, which is fine, because I wasn't about to spend, $300 to get him still in the box. But my knee is a little bit messed. His right knee is a little messed up. I did go in there and fix it a little bit, and it seems okay now, but it's a little fiddly. But other than that, I mean, he's fantastic. You got other mechanical details like this part that actually, when it comes out, it kind of pulls. You can sort of see in the back here. It pulls that out for just like a little bit, not just a little bit extra motion, but it actually kind of adds a little bit more detail where you've got all of these lines kind of going up into his shoulder, and then you've got this one in the back that just kind of appears when you do that. It's really incredible. He's got little toes. He's got little toes that you can actually splay out a little bit. He's spectacular, and he's huge, which is why, again, the different setup here. He is like almost as tall as a Masterpiece Optimus Prime. It's kind of, actually no. Wait a minute. Be right back. Okay, I'm back, and so I don't normally do this, but in this case I think it's warranted because, again, he's really big, and I really want to kind of show that off. So there we have Leader Class Starscream, and here we have Masterpiece Optimus Prime. Now, even with like the posing and stuff, Starscream is still noticeably taller. He is that big. And honestly, it's a totally different aesthetic, but he's got as much, if not more, detail, which is just wild to me. Okay, that's enough of Prime. Yeah, he is an incredible looking Decepticon. I mean, even his movements are actually really impressive. Like the fact that there are these hinges in the torso that allow him to bring his arms in even further, but they don't actually break the aesthetic. And then there's these parts here that can move to kind of keep the illusion going. It's really impressive stuff. Even from the back, he looks pretty nice. Don't take that out of context. Like he's got this, he's got these wings, and they kind of fold up really nicely. I do actually have an add-on kit that gives him the alien boosters here, as well as his buzzsaw that you can put in his hand. But again, as with all these videos, the accessories aren't the point. However, built-in stuff like this lever here, right here, that you can flip and pull out a machine gun, I think that's fair game. So he's got a machine gun that he can just whip out and aim at you. And on the other arm, he's got missiles. He is a very, very cool figure. I am, even with the slight quirks that I've been dealing with because I got him off of eBay, he is still very cool. I am so happy to have him. And stand up. Stand up. Yes. Yes. Okay. We're gonna have him like he's protecting an invisible football. He's like, back off, man. Yeah, no, it's all goofing aside. Get back in there. Get back in there. There we go. All goofing aside, he is really amazing. And this is, again, coming from someone who's not a huge fan of the movie well, I mean, I should say I'm a fan of the movie figure look. I'm not a fan of the movie character look. But in this case, I do believe it works really, really well. Starscream is fantastic. Fantastic and imposing, and probably a little too big for where I keep him on the shelf, but that's okay. He's just so cool. And he's got that, like, incredibly huge torso with the tiny legs, which actually fits with, how he's been designed in the movie, so it's actually really accurate, and he's so cool. He's loaded with detail. He's really big and chunky and just fun to look at. He's just very, very cool. And I've said that so many times now, I think that means that this is a good place to leave the video. So that has been my look at the Hunt for the Decepticons Leader Class Starscream, or as I'm going to start calling him, Blake. Again, no offense to the Blakes out there. So, hope you enjoyed. If so, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Any combination of those three would be fantastic, but I won't hold it against you if you don't do any of them. And in the meantime, remember, as per usual, art is more than meets the eye.